Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In the last video we have discussed how would you use Microsoft Azure Backup with virtual machines in the cloud. Today we are going to use Microsoft Azure Backup with Azure Files. One of the great features that Microsoft Azure Storage does provide is Azure File Shares. So basically it's a service that you can use to store all of your files, whether it's PDF, photos, videos and so on. Traditionally, in order to create a file server, you need a virtual machines and a Windows or Linux operating system. Then you need to manage the operating system updates and then install the file server role into that virtual machine, or even using the distributed file system or DFS replication if you're coming from the on-premises world. Instead, you can rely on Microsoft Azure Storage account, where you would forget about managing the operating system, the high availability, and the disaster recovery of that file server infrastructure. Forget about your disk issues, operating system updates, security, and more with Azure File Shares. Although Microsoft Azure Storage redundancy options comes with a lot of great features, for example, you can choose the locally redundant storage, or LRS, which is going to replicate 3 copies into the same data center. Or you can go for the zone redundant storage, which is going to replicate 3 copies on different availability zone. Or even you can use it for a disaster recovery and use the geo-redundant option, or GRS, which would replicate 3 copies in one region and another 3 copies into the other region as well. And we have also the fourth option that we have introduced, which is geo-zone redundant storage, which is going to replicate 3 copies into different availability zone for region 1 and another 3 copies for spread into different availability zone into the paired region or into the secondary region that you will select. With this redundancy options, mistakes still could happen. So sometimes people could mistakenly delete the files, or maybe modifying the content of that file. So if you have a notepad where you're writing things and then somebody mistakenly deleted that, if it's deleted, it's going to also be replicated to all of the other copies into the availability zones or regions. That's why Microsoft Azure Backup is so important to use with Azure Files, even with a managed service, even with a lot of copies and data replicated across different regions or different availability zone. Depends on the redundancy option that you choose, but you still have to use Microsoft Azure Backup. As I mentioned in the last videos, these could be corrupted files stored in a file shares. So for example, if you're using AVD profiles, where you're storing all of your user profiles into that file share, you would still need to use a backup solution in case if this user profiles got corrupted. In today's video, we are going to see a demo where we are going to create Microsoft Azure Storage account, upload some files for testing, then we enable backup for it. So let's jump into the Azure portal. All right, I'm in the Azure portal. The last time we have created Microsoft Recovery Services Vault, which act as the backup solution, and we have enabled backups on our virtual machines, and it was Windows and Linux. In today's video, we are going to create a storage account. So I've created one before that video, which is called FSMO01. Let's create another one. So basically, to create a storage account, all you need to do is to search for Azure Storage Account, and then you will find it there. Click on Create. Select your resource group. In my case is Backup Resource Group. And then add a name. Select the region. In my case is West Europe, where is my backup solution are deployed. And then go down and then select your performance tier. Basically, it depends on how fast do you want this file server. You can select either the standard or the premium tier. For me, to save some money, I will just only select the locally redundant storage for my redundancy option. Then click Next. These are some advanced settings for the Azure files, which we will not go through it. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select the access tier here, is cool tier. And then hit Next. Hit Next again. I'm just going to disable the soft delete for the file shares, and then hit Next, review and create. As you can see, this is the summary of our choices. I'm not going to go through all of these because this is going to be a different series or playlist. We're not targeting how would you create the Azure files or explaining what Azure files is, but just for the purpose of this demo, we have just selected the very basic settings and then we're going to hit create. All right, the Azure storage account is going to take a few minutes, then it will be deployed successfully. As you can see, once the Azure storage account is created, you will see something like this. Then what you need to do is just search for storage account again, and then select your newly created storage account. There is a lot of controls here, so I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I just want to show you how would you create a file server. So basically, to create a file server, it's very easy. Like, you will forget the days where you have to install the file server role, manage the high availability, backups, and everything for that file server. And just you need to click on file shares. No operating system access, no RDP configured, nothing. Just click on create new file shares and then enter the name of that file. So let's say we're gonna call it file share 2. You can select the access tier, how fast do you want this. For my case, I'm just gonna select the transaction optimized and then click on next. You can select the option to enable the backup directly while you're creating this file share, but we will see this from the Azure portal. Then click review and create, and then create. As you can see, the file share 2 created very fast, and you can see the quota here is 100 terabyte. You can modify this quota by just clicking on the 3 dots from the right side and then click on edit quota, and then maybe let's do it 200 gigabyte. Then click OK. The quota has been modified. Now you can connect to this file share from anywhere. So basically what you need to do is to click on that file share and then hit connect. As you can see, it provides a lot of operating system support. So you can choose whether you're connecting from Windows or Linux machine or Mac OS. This file server also can join the Microsoft Entra, so that you can make it more secured by logging by the Microsoft Entra account or even by your on-premises Active Directory. So it can join also the on-premises Active Directory domain, because this guy is legacy and understand the Kerberos protocol and can join the on-premises Active Directory as well. So depends on your use case. There is like, you can just click on connect and then select your drive letter and then click on show script and run this through the PowerShell. I'm in a PowerShell window, so I just will paste this one and then I should be able to connect to my Azure files. As you can see, it is successfully booted or connected to my Windows machine. So if I do net use, I should be able to see the P drive letter here, and then I can connect from the File Explorer as well. If I go to my File Explorer, I will be able to see it as a drive letter into my connected or the network locations. This is where I can copy some test files and upload it here. There are several ways to upload files to the Azure file storage. Sure, through the SMB connection, where you can copy the files directly from here. I have 2 files here that I've created previously. Just some, I've entered some words here, some numbers, and the other one is ABCD. So this is just 2 files. So the first way to do that is just by copy this file and then paste it directly here. Now it is successfully copied. If I go back to my file share here, I can go to the directory or browse this file share. I should be able to see file 1. The other way is to do it from the Azure portal. So basically upload the file and then drag and drop the file 2, where we can do that as well. And then click upload. As you can see, the file uploaded successfully. Then we can enable the backup. There are several ways to enable the backup. So the first way to do that is by going to the Microsoft Recovery Services Vault. and then click and then select your Microsoft Vault Backup 1. Same way that we have done for the Azure virtual machines, we can click on the backup tab from here, or even from getting started section. So we can click on the backup or the getting started. Let's do it differently this way or this time. And then we're gonna select the Azure file shares. Now I'll click on backup. It will ask you where is the storage account. So I just can click on select and select my storage account. Okay, as you can see, I'm unable to find my Azure files because the backup solution is located in West Europe, and we might have created this in a different region. It's actually into the same region. Let's try again. All right, it was just caching, so I will select my file server, click on OK. What's happening right now is registering this storage account into the Recovery Services Vault, which will take a few minutes, as you can see down below. After 2 minutes, the Azure storage successfully registered. Now I can just select my files shares that we have created. Now we have 2 file shares, so we can just select both of them and then click OK. As the last time we saw the backup policy, you always can create a new one, or even use the pre-built default policy that Microsoft have created. Generally speaking, it's not gonna match your use case, but this is very good for proof of concept or testing purposes. But you always can edit the default policy or even create a new one, and then give it the name you want, give it the frequency. How frequency do you want to backup this, and how do you want to manage the retention of the backup? Once again, we will discuss the Azure backup policy in detail on a separate video, but I just want to show you the functionality. For now, I'm going to leave it for the default one, and then I'm going to click enable. As you can see, we have successfully enabled the Microsoft Azure backup on the Azure storage account or the Azure files. Now, if we go back here to the Recovery Services Vault and then click on Backup 1, under Protected Items from this side, we can see the backup items here. This is where you can see the Azure storage or the Azure files. So we have enabled Azure Virtual Machines 2 VMs, and now we have enabled 2 Azure file servers from the Microsoft backup. So again, dashboards. If we click on the overview here, we can see what's going on. So again, this is a unified solution which will allow you to create backup and disaster recovery for your solutions. So you can see there are 4 backup items. If we click here, it will take us to the same view again, to the backup items, and then we can click on the Azure storage. So as you can see, there is a trigger warning. Now we can wait till the backup time start, or we can just click on backup now. Let's just check which one got the files. So we can go back to the storage account, click on file shares, hit files, and then browse. Yeah, so if FS01 or file share 01 is the one that got the files. So we can go back here and then go back to the Recovery Services Vault, select the backup items, select your Azure storage, file share 1, and hit view details. As you can see, there is no recovery points or snapshots. We can just click on backup now, and then we will retain this backup till today. As you can see, we are triggering the backup job. So we can go back here and then track our backup jobs from here. If we hit refresh, we should see something from here as well. these were the operations that we have done. So we've registered the Azure storage account, we have configured the backup, the backup policy, all of this kind of stuff. And also we have enabled the backup operation. Now we're triggering the backup. So it should take some time, and then we should see something from here. As you can see, it is successfully triggering the backup for file server 01. So if we hit refresh, okay, that was very quick. So the snapshot completed because it is small files. So now if I go back again to the backup infrastructure or the protected items, click again on my Azure files, you will see that the last backup status was success. And then if I view here, I will see a snapshot. This is where I can restore. Same interface like the Azure virtual machine. There's nothing fancy here. So you can restore the entire share. You have two options to restore, whether you want to do on the original location or even alternate location. So if you want to select another storage account and then restore and then test your file restore to see if the backup is actually working. And you always have to test your backup solutions, and you always have to check if the backup solution is actually working fine and there is no corruptions in your files. But what we can do here is we can go back to the Azure files itself, and then we can delete this guy. And then let's do a restore job here. So again, we can do restore job from the file share itself, or from the recovery services vault, or even from the file share. So we can click on file share 01. And then we can see the backups here. So again, the same interface. You will see the creation time, and also if there's a snapshot, you will see it as well here. What you can do is basically very simple, is click on restore share and then select the restore point. I will pick up the last one because we only have one. Then we click OK. Restore in the original location and then hit restore. As you can see, the restore job successfully finished. If we go back to the Microsoft Recovery Services Vault, and then we can track the restore job here, backup jobs. Under monitoring, you will see that it takes us 30 seconds. That's because the file is too small, and it was able to restore it very quickly. And as you can see, it restored the files successfully. So we can open the file, and we will see the same data 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One cool thing here that I didn't show you as well, if we go back to the Recovery Services Vault itself, and then click on Backups, and then hit on the backup items, you can also restore an individual files. So you don't need to restore the entire files, but you can do also individual file restore. For example, if something happened, like somebody deleted, let's say file 1 only, or file 2, let's delete file 2. It's not actually here. So this is file 1 and 2, so let's delete file 2 from here. Now I don't need to restore the entire vault. So what I can do is I can go back here and then I can do file recovery instead of restoring the entire share. Now this option is very cool because you will be able to select the recovery point. So this is our last recovery point. Then you're gonna select it, and then I can for sure store it or restore it in a different location, but I will just go back to the original one. And then from here, I can just select my file that got deleted. In this case, this is file 2. So you will see that text 1 and 2 is in this snapshot. So I can select this one and then select the file and then click restore. As you can see, we have successfully restored the file 2. So if we go back to browse, we will see here file 2 has been successfully restored. I hope this video was useful for you. Thanks for watching.